What is going on, guys? This is Richie here, back again from the Red Planet Films, bringing you yet another movie review, and this time it is for It Comes at Night, which is directed by Trey Edward Schultz, starring Joel Edgerton, and I believe a newcomer, or I'm not really too familiar with his previous work, in the name of Kelvin Harrison Jr., and right off the bat, this movie is not what you expect it to be from the trailers. I just want to let you guys know about that. So whatever you see from the trailers, in a sense, it's almost a bit misleading. And by that, I mean, I guess they kind of cater the trailer more towards, like, the general consensus of, like, a general crowd to try and just pull in a lot more viewers, in the sense that, unfortunately, this generation is all about jump scares, and that is just cheap horror, in my opinion. You know, that doesn't really get the job done for me. I'm more of a slow burn type guy, or a less is more type guy when it comes to my type of horror films. There hasn't really been a horror film that has really genuinely surprised me or scared me. The last horror film that I had fun with was The Conjuring 2. The last horror film that has scared the piss out of me, and if you've been watching this channel for quite a long time, I hold this film within the highest of regards, and that is The Blair Witch Project from the 90s. Now, It Comes at Night is not a particularly scary film. It doesn't, leave you coming out of the theater shaken and battered and broken like back in the day when The Exorcist first premiered back in the 70s. No, this is not the case. This is definitely a slow burn type film. This is not a film for everyone. This is not a film for those people who cater towards those jump scare type films. No, this is more of a character story driven type film. The director, Trey Edward Schultz, if I recall correctly, his father actually died prior to him starting to write this film. So he takes a lot of that inspiration from real life and implements it into this film. And by that, I mean there is a family tone in this movie, which, is definitely held by Joel Edgerton. If you're not familiar with him, he was in Warrior, I believe, with Tom Hardy, and he played a brother. They were both brothers in that film, and I'm a huge fan of his work. I think Joel Edgerton is not necessarily underrated, but I don't think he's really talked about too much, and I really felt that he held his own in this movie. He kind of carried this film. And again, to make mention on the other cast member, Kelvin Harrison Jr., he's definitely somebody that I think you want to watch out for. I think what he was given in this movie, he did a very tremendous job. He kind of made you care about the character, but at the same time, I was kind of questioning some of his tactics and some of his decisions that he was making along the film. And sort of the arc that they go within his character, it definitely kept me intrigued in the movie. Just from the opening shot and the opening scene, you're like, okay, what's going on here? So definitely, the whole plot of the film is that there was some sort of sickness or some sort of catastrophe that happened on the planet Earth. And we don't necessarily get to know or learn what that whole, catastrophe was. It's sort of left in the dark, and I kind of like that. Those things that kind of keep you guessing. It's like, okay, where did the sickness come from? Where did this whole thing come from? Why did the Earth go kaput? What happened? And I kind of like that. It gives you reason for debate, especially after the film when you walk out of the theater. Whereas, other films before this have kind of told you, a satellite fell from space and the radioactivity resurrected the dead, rage-infected monkeys, just something ridiculous like that. I kind of like this whole less is more aspect. You don't really know, but you want more, and it keeps you invested, and you're wondering what's going to happen next. Now, to go with the scares, there's not a lot of, jump scares or anything like that. The movie isn't scary. Again, like I made mention, it doesn't leave you all, like, disheveled and everything like that. No, it's scary in the premise that it's not necessarily whatever monsters or whatever is lurking in the night, which you don't really get to find out without delving into spoilers. This is going to be a primarily spoiler-free review, so anyone looking for spoilers, I'm not going to go into that. I firmly believe that you should go into this movie with a blind eye. If you want to watch like one trailer, go right ahead, but I truly believe that you should go into this movie blind and then kind of gather your thoughts and everything like that. I guess whenever the Blu-ray comes out, maybe then I'll go into spoilers and everything like that, but for now I don't want to get into what happens throughout the entire movie, because I strongly believe that this is a film that everyone should kind of check out. I unfortunately believe it's going to be a little bit under the radar. It's not going to perform as well. It is kind of a bit of an indie film, if you will, but I highly recommend that you guys go out of your way and see this movie because, again, just to backtrack a little bit, it's not necessarily the monsters that is what's scary or anything like that. It's more so people. There's a trust element in this movie that is played with, and trust has always been a huge problem, whether you look at it in the form of politics or allies or just in your own personal lives with friends and everything and people that you choose to let into your life. Trust is a huge fear that everyone has. It's like, can I trust this person? Can we trust these people? Etc., etc. So I think playing on that sort of element is definitely frightening. You know, you're letting people into your personal and private lives, especially in a world where everything has just gone, you know, it's hit the fan, you know what I mean, for lack of a better term. So I like how they played with that. Again, just to touch back, as I made mention a little bit earlier on the acting, everyone did their part. Joel Edgerton, great. The other castmates, it's a very small cast, but they all played their parts tremendously. The direction is very well done. The cinematography is beautiful. There are a lot of shots that I really enjoy that just even told a story on its own. There was a shot in particular where someone is walking through a dark hallway, a dark corridor, with just a lantern in their hand, and there's a big red door. The door is shut, but the way that the light kind of casts its shadow, it almost makes it look like the door opens, but it's just a shadow kind of just panning over, and it gives this illusion like the door is opening. There's just subtle little things like that, that whether it's intentional or not, just makes this movie stand out among a whole bunch of films that have come before this. And again, direction is great, cinematography is great, soundtrack, which is, you know, more or less kind of missing, you know, score. But whenever there is a score, the score is beautiful. Whenever there's not, it raises the tension. There are certain scenes in certain movies in particular where there doesn't need to be a score, and it makes the tension that much more dramatic. And this movie definitely has a lot of that. And speaking of dramatic tension, there was a lot of that, especially towards in the final act, which I will not get into. But it just left me with my hands over my head, just looking down, just releasing a huge sigh of like emotion, just like, wow, you know, what a roller coaster of a ride. I really enjoyed this movie. The pacing, I have no complaints about it. Do I wish the movie was a little bit longer? I think it's a decent time length for this film. Do I wish they kind of played with a couple of little elements here and there? Maybe. And I kind of wish that we had a little bit more answers, especially with one death that happens sort of in the middle, almost towards the final act of the film, which I will not get into again, but it raises a couple of eyebrows as to how it happened. And again, the whole theme of the title, It Comes at Night, we don't really get to see what it is that's coming at night. So they could go with a sequel. Would I want one? Not really, because the ending kind of speaks for itself. And again, it's one of those films that just leaves you debating with your friends or just by yourself well after when you've gone on to the theater. I saw this movie Thursday night. I'm recording this on Sunday, and I've still been thinking about the movie. So I kind of like films like those. I don't think we need a sequel. I hope we don't get a sequel. I hope this movie does perform well at the box office. And again, if I had to recommend it, I highly do. Go out of your way and see this movie. You know, just overall, just to kind of wrap things up, again, the performances are great. The movie looked great. The soundtrack, the score was great. Everything about it was phenomenal. I really enjoyed it. Definitely one of my favorites of the year so far. 2017 has been a great year for movies in general. And I think if I had to give this movie a letter grade, I will have to go and give it a solid A-. So thank you all for tuning in. If you saw It Comes at Night, please let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Just please try and refrain from spoilers. But again, if you're going to leave any kind of spoiler-ish comments, just put a little spoiler alert tag right before your comment. So just in case there's anyone kind of scrolling through, they'll kind of be able to just scroll past your comment and all that good stuff. But any and everything you want to let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on the movie. Like this video if you haven't already. Favorite it, share with your friends if you want on Facebook, Twitter, wherever. Any little bit of help helps us out tremendously. check the description box down below. You'll find the link to our gaming channel, the Replanet Gaming, where we are 534 subscribers strong. We're currently doing a couple of live streams and everything for games such as Friday the 13th, Soma, Last of Us, Uncharted 4, Battlefield, and we have a couple of walkthroughs. I'm currently playing through Injustice 2, so if you guys are interested in that, link in the description box down below, as well as my good friend's channel, who I always collaborate with over on our gaming channel. And if you want to follow us on social media, our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram information is down below. But with all that being said, like, favorite, share, comment, and most importantly, subscribe so you can know whenever we upload a new video. That is pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. And again, let me know your thoughts and comments about It Comes at Night. And that is pretty much it. And I will see you guys in the next video. So thank you all so much for tuning in.